everyone. This is Kay Mason from Conscious Business Zone and MasonWorks, and I'm here today with Morgan Lee and Todd Medina. Hi, you guys.
Hello.
Hi. He's looking down. He'll look up eventually.
I'm sharing.
I know. It's good. It's good. We'll let it. And Tom Whitebeard's already on. And thank you guys. So I am so excited about this. This is an unusual time for me. I usually do first thing in the morning or pretty early in the morning on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Hi, Cheryl. But this was the best time for you guys. And so I just wanted to find out a little bit more about Soulology. And this seems like this is the easiest way to get a hold of you. Because I text both of you in Facebook, but I don't have your phone number. Oh, and Renee's on. There's going to be a bunch of people that really want to hear what you're doing. So first of all, hi everyone. Hi Karen. Could you tell us about Soulology? Like, I know I don't know Morgan's story about her connection. I know she's been awake for a long time. I know Todd was awake and was homeless and got inspired through music and creativity. But how did, first of all, what is Soulology?
I think Morgan should answer that.
Yes,
well, the reason I say that is because Todd's journey was, if you just say on the linear, so if you look at the linear, it was a certain way, but then there was a point that came, last summer, where Soulology actually came to us and showed itself to us and talked to us, and that continues today. But then later on, she told me, because Morgan, you said, had been awoke a long time, which she has. Most of the people on our show are on or around 2012, right? So she was like 1999, year 2000, and she had literally a Buddha consciousness awakening. But 3 or 4 or 5 years down the road, she can tell you she had this vision of what Soul Speaks 5D is, and she's actually the one that came up with that name. But she had this vision where people would come together in a place, and she's seen this energetically, where they could share their skills and abilities and their stories and their experiences. So you can take it from there.
For me, I saw this wild, crazy man, that had developed quite a great following. And from the moment we met, I started speaking to him about, all this stuff that you're doing by yourself is really good and you've got a great following. But what the world needs now is a platform where people can connect and share tools and skills and abilities, and even just their personal journeys, because this path, doing it alone, can make people feel like they're going insane. But when you hear that other people are doing the same stuff as well, then you know, okay, I don't have to take this personally. This is a collective thing. I've got brothers and sisters experiencing the same stuff. So we actually spoke about it for a couple of years before Todd finally did it, started doing the interviews. And yeah, it sort of took off from there.
Well, I feel like I've had the same vision. That's why as soon as I saw what you're doing, because I've been awake for a while, not since 2000, but close, and had a white light experience. But I still got to be fully functioning in 3D and weird. And I found a whole bunch of us.
Yeah.
So that, the challenge is being fully functioning and also not feeling totally alone.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. What you're doing, I have to say, is giving courage to all these people that have these incredible superhero talents, and they don't know what to do with it. Yeah. So, okay, so Todd, when you got awake, did you get a vision then too? I mean, you started creating this this way to connect with people, but did you know what you were, did you know what it was for? No, so you really needed Morgan.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I was told, I was given the name Sology in the first part of 2012. I think I woke up, went homeless for like 7 months in 2011. I hit a certain point, I passed a certain threshold. And once I did, this consciousness of Archangel Michael came in and said, here's Sology, 3 o'clock in the morning. And like, I said, what is that? He said, the other side of the truth. So a couple of years go by, I come off the streets, I get my own place. And then I was told Sology One Studios. And I'm like, what does that mean? They're like, well, go down and clear your downstairs out and make a studio. And all I was really doing at the time was writing a lot of prose and poetry. And I had started to put it to images, but I didn't know what I was doing. No, I would literally sit like this, and I had a phone, I had no internet, and I had music, and I just knew turn on some music and start reading your words or whatever, or just ad lib. But it wasn't until I think I actually made my first video like 5 or 6 days, because there was a phase of just writing, and then there was a phase of writing to pictures. And then I remember sitting for a long weekend when I got this download. It was really weird because I got the download and I'm like, well, what am I going to put in the downstairs? And then like 4 people, literally 4 people, like, we're moving out. We're going to give you my furniture. Can we drop it off at your house? And then I had a whole downstairs full of furniture. But it was about 5 days, 6 days before I met Morgan in the physical. I'd been basically keeping my honor for like 6 months, and I knew something was going on, but I still didn't know because I had a lot of shadow. But it was about 5 or 6 days before we actually connected, where we had a phone conversation and exchanged messages. I did my first video, and I was, I was connected, but I was not embodying. I was very shadowed, but I knew something was pushing me. Something was really pushing me. And so about 5, 6 days later, I connected with her at 3:33 in the morning after I had declared to the universe, I need her and I need her now. And 2 minutes later, literally, she messaged me. I had messaged her, said, hey, you want to join Sology, which I never did to anybody. I just was my come on to her. And she had been doing her thing for quite a few years, which was soul merging, Helios Gamos, which she had downloaded. She'd been working with a lot of men in that capacity, in terms of just pure etheric merging, exchange of information, exchange of code, which we all do, but at a conscious level. And so we connected. And when we connected, her first words to me were, because I told her, I said, I don't know what's going on, but I need to talk to you. And I'm in serious trouble. And she said, may I put my hand on your heart through the ethers? And I said, yeah. And then after that, it just exploded. So long story short, no. I mean, I can see now, obviously with everything that's happened, that on the linear timeline, it was Todd, then Morgan came, but it wasn't like that. In fact, we had a which is very common for us, a mutual interdimensional experience, 3-4 months ago in Kauai, where we actually stepped into a monad together. We go to bed every night and we put our hands together and then we see what happens. And they said, you guys have been coming every night for a long, long time. This is the first time you're conscious of it in 60 years. Wow. And I'm 57. And basically what was said, we stepped into a monad with 24 people. We're 2 of those 24. And they said, you guys agreed 60 years ago on this land to come down here and do this. And that's when I realized this was all done before I was incarnated and before I was given the word Sology. So I think it's very important to point that out, and that, it was a totally different animal before she stepped in, whether we were conscious of it or not, the impact of it. So,
that's so wonderful. So now it feels like you totally trust everything. Did you trust it originally? Did you both feel or was this just, I'm taking a journey and I'm just gonna have the adventure?
We had no choice at all. Both of us had experiences of questioning, doubting, not trusting, but it didn't even matter. Like our higher selves just came in and pretty much, for me, it felt like I had hands on my back that were just pushing me.
Right.
I gave up my house. I gave up everything, to do this. Reluctantly, the human self didn't like it. But when that higher self came in and gave direction, I had no choice but to follow.
Oh, it's so exciting. And you're modeling this wonderful way of being where you actually show up as your God self and see well, actually it's the delight of playing with the energy instead of being a victim of it.
Yeah, and we've done that from the very beginning. From the very beginning, I used to say to Todd, we're not doing work here. It's not victim consciousness stuff. We're playing with energy. So, for many, many years, I've understood that, we're the programmers and we can play with it. We can simply play with energy.
Yes, that's the fun part of it. So as far as, have you found the other 22 people?
4 of them have come
Am
to us.
I one of them?
Can I turn the air conditioner on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead with that. Well,
No, I don't.
we've had a like everything else, an elevation and expansion of our experiences. So we had that experience where we stepped into a monad. We're living in Kauai on this organic farm, and we were told that, you've stepped into this monad consciously for the first time in 60 years, and they explained all what I explained. And then another phase came. And what happened was we stepped into a higher monad. And that monad had, I can't remember in absolute certainty, but I think it was 36, but it was at a higher, at a higher dimension. In fact, when we went to that dimension or to that monad, one voice spoke to us, and that voice identified itself. In fact, I think that dimension was actually 12. That monad was actually 12. Mm-hmm. And so when that
24.
No, the higher one. There was the 24, and then there was the one where there was a singular voice, and we're not trying to say anything is anything. We're not into labels and anything like that. But what happened was this voice stepped up out of the 12, and it said to us in so many words, "I am both of you. I am Todd. I am Morgan," or what as Todd and Morgan, and it spoke to us. And so we asked at that session, are you related to the 24 that told us about the 60 years ago and all that? And it said yes, but it was a very complex answer. And it was like, okay, all of these 12 in here have their own monads. And, it was just like this total flower of life complexity and exponential kind of math kind of thing, right? But I guess, getting back to your question or what you were talking about, it just became very apparent that this is very much like all of our journeys, guided by a very, the higher self or the source or God or goddess, whatever. But we also realized, and I have to say, that most of that came from Morgan, because I came out of the chute, and all I knew to say was, I am not just a human being, I am soul. And she was coming from a place of, I am all of this stuff and I know that, but I need to be a human being and embody that. So really, the Todd and Morgan story is obviously our journey and our blessing, but it does have a direct relationship to Soul-G. And I think the biggest part of that is what I've seen in retrospect now is that whether it be Todd in 5 years ago, with wild hair, no shirt on, doing a live, or whether it be any of these incredible episodes that we've done of Soul Speaks 5D, it's that raw, authentic, real. I am a human. I am not trying to disassociate or separate myself from that. I am bringing this into the boots on the ground level and embodying all that I was before I got here into this expansive divine human frequency that I think we try to uphold with Soulology.
Perfect. Well, I would say that that's the difference of this journey and why over 7 billion people are here is that this is I think one of the first times that we're going to incarnate, ascend embodied. And so there's a whole different paradigm that's emerging right now where the opportunity to co-create and be a creator God is like tremendous. It's really about being aware of the potential and opening up your imagination to what can happen and calling it in, which is what you guys are doing, I think. So there's lots of people commenting. I don't know if you want me to read any of it. Tom Whitebear, he has a whole bunch of stuff. I don't know if you want me to read any of it to you, but it's kind of fun. Tom Medina volunteered and jumped down the chute shortly after me. Morgan was watching, shaking her head. I don't know about them, haha. My Palladian guidance council of 12 knows me well, haha. He just keeps going, so.
That's Tom.
That's our Tom.
Isn't that cute? Yeah, there's a bunch of people on here saying thank you so much for being here and hello. So how many sessions of Soulology have you done, Todd?
We've done collectively since that first video, which was, like I said, about 5 or 6 days. I think it was August the 27th, and we met on September the 3rd, 2015. There's probably been about 30, somewhere between 3,000 and 3,500 productions that involved video. And I would say that we're probably real close to 1,400 episodes of Soul Speaks 5D. And just to go back to that real quick, and that intuitive thing, when we met within the first, our rapport was immediate. I was very organic, I used to say, and she was very galactic. And again, she was trying to embody, and I was trying to stick to the higher aspects and avoid my human crap. And, but we would have these conversations, and a few weeks into it, which would have been like, say late October of 2015, I said, we should record this, not because it's us, but because, wow, no one's talking about ascension and talking about what's it really like at the boots on the ground level. And then, so about, I guess, a year and a half went by, and I was running as hard as I could away from her. And kind of, sort of, not really, but
I wasn't chasing.
She wasn't chasing, that's for damn sure. But so what ended up happening was she came in the summer, or right before summer of 2017 for the first time, and I was traveling around the country, living out of a suitcase and just trying to make something happen. And she said, I want to come. And I was like, okay, let's do this. And so she came, we spent some time together. I went through about a 5-week boot camp with her and her infinite wisdom, to remove my shadows. She knew at a higher level that this needed to happen. I didn't know, but I trusted her. So you had asked about trust.
But you did fight me all the way too in that 5 weeks.
I didn't fight you all the way. I fought you a little bit. And
his experience with the ones that didn't knows the difference.
But we ended up going on a journey. We were in Houston, Texas, and we kind of got repelled out of there. And we went to Arkansas, and we did the first Soulology live performance with a local crowd. And it was, I think, July the 1st of 2017. And then we ended up going with some friends to Utah. And when we got to Utah, she had said to me, you need, it's not just about you, Todd Medina. It's about all these people. She never told me about the vision or the dream that she had in the early 2000s. I didn't find that out till later, which is mostly how I find things out about what she thought way after it won't influence my ego. But anyway, so what happened was I started.
No, I did tell you it actually took you a while to catch up.
That's probably a better. But so I started doing these interviews, and it would just be with like people that you do a post and you interact with them, and I'm like, okay, let's talk, let's have a show. And So we went about 300 or 400 shows into that.
Wow.
I'm sorry, we went about like maybe 150, 200 shows into that. And she said, you should call it Soul Speaks 5D. Now, she went back to Australia. We were apart for 9 months. It was very brutal, on at least on my end. And I ended up landing in Georgia. And she came, and it really took off. When she came in, there was probably about 300 episodes had been done in what would have been, a year and a half. And she came in and, she just took over. I mean, like just took over, like,
Yeah.
organized everything, set everything up. In those days, we were doing 5-6 shows a day. And so anyway, a long way to answer your question, but we're at about 1,400 episodes now, and it's a work in process always. And, she does an incredible job of producing it. All I got to do is show up and start talking.
Oh, and you do a great job, Todd, because what's really wonderful about this is how authentic everything is. And hopefully what I'm doing is like what you're doing, because it's really about us, again, being human. But the other thing I wanted to ask is about the human is the hero. You said that probably a year ago, and I love it. I mean, I really believe that's the whole reason there's 7 billion people here of all different kind of AT races, and all sorts of beings are here that aren't visible, are here because we are coming through this whole new paradigm, which is superheroes, superpowers. It really is. And we're the only thing that is keeping it out of, we're the only thing that's keeping us from experiencing that.
Yeah.
So Morgan, when you're picking people, or do both of you guys pick the people when you find the people to interview, or how do you select the people to interview?
Not really. If Todd leaves it to me, and this sounds egotistical, but it's not, it's just how it works. If he leaves it to me, it flows to perfection because I don't have any attachment at all. When I schedule, I offer whoever a whole bunch of, and they actually pick themselves. Every time Todd goes, I'm going to have this person, like you can actually see the wobble. Is that all right for me to say? But that's how, I mean,
evidently.
I don't have any attachment. People mostly contact us. In the beginning, I went searching, and actually, I still do search, but I'm searching for the hiddens.
Yeah.
Because the hidden people, they're the ones that don't need to be big about it all, and they're not trying to promote themselves, but they actually contain incredible wisdom.
Right.
So I do go searching for them, but everyone else comes to me. I hand out a bunch of dates, and they pick themselves for the days. And we've got to the point now where I can see, oh my God, look at this, Todd, this person, that's a big energetic day. So we don't actually pick it. It picks itself.
Yeah.
But like Sology instructs us, we don't tell Sology what it's going to do. When it was birthed into reality, into its own entity, it's been instructing us.
Yeah.
So we try to work the same way.
Yeah. I get it. It was exhausting watching Todd do 5 at a time. I mean, it's sort of like ding here, because I get notified every time you went on. Like, what's he doing now? It's like, oh my God, he's on his 5th one for today. So do you actually get energized by, I know that I saw you when you did Lisa Transcendence Brown. I have her book, Transcendence Brown, and it seemed like you were floating when you were working with her. But do you actually feel the high energy people when you're interviewing them?
Yeah. And I think, I wanted to, if it's okay, to just quickly make a comment about the whole human is the hero thing.
Okay.
So when I got my download, like we all get a download, right? Like a initial download. The only thing that came through was I am soul. I mean, that was the most that was it. Everything else was from that. And so when I met her, I knew there was a frequency that was speaking to me that I couldn't understand in human terms. And over time, I realized what it was. It took a couple of years, which was none of that stuff matters until you embody it. And I think that's really been permeated into Sology's frequency, is that, we can all channel, download, transmit. We can all do this stuff. We can all do activations. We can all do this stuff, but it's at some point becomes a distraction and even a distortion. And the bottom line is to pull all this stuff in this now moment and be a divine human being and apply all this stuff. Otherwise, what the hell does it mean, right?
Walking your talk.
Yeah, walking your talk. But at a level, I think that look, I was with her. It took me 2 years to figure it out. I would ask her for 2 years every month. I'd say, what does it mean to embody now? Why do you always say you've got to embody it, or does it mean anything? So that was just something I wanted to comment on, because I do think it's related to whatever you asked me, which I forgot. I got it. Yeah.
So,
No, I got it now. I got it. You asked me, do I get affected or whatever by the people I talk to? And you brought up Lisa as an example. Now, Lisa was a little bit different because each episode we did, which I think was 3.5 to 4 hours. And like all of them, they're very special, but also, as I've come to understand in what is now the quantum reality, quantum realm, it doesn't matter if one's 40 minutes or one's 4 hours. It doesn't matter at all. Oftentimes I feel like I'm a client in a session, not necessarily with the person across from me, but with all their multiple aspects as well as my own. So yeah, there is something to be said for the energetic occurrence that happens. And many times it's a lot to handle. I've gotten better and better and better on a personal level with it. She's a big part of that because, I may be talking and I don't always say it. In fact, I don't, but she'll send me a question, or she'll say, let them talk, or whatever the case is. And it's not in a bad way. It's actually in a way to keep me alive. It's done in pure unconditional love, but it also keeps me in balance with all the multiple energies that are there, because there are many times that it's far more than just that person and the higher self. And the last thing I would say is I really didn't, I had, I guess, maybe some type of natural thing going where I could actually talk to people. And it's never been a big deal for me to be in front of crowds and all that stuff. But I think it was probably 350, 400 episodes into it, which would have been a year ago, a little over a year ago, or 2 years ago, I guess. And so she said to me, because I would say to her, so-and-so's coming on and I don't want to talk to these people, or so-and-so's coming on and I'm really looking forward to it. And she would just like raise her eyes and go, and she said, look, let me give you a little advice. Why don't you pull up their higher self prior to the show? And so I do that. And what's really interesting is once I made the decision, or once I agreed to do what she told me, which is really how it worked, I realized what would happen is that I didn't even have to ask. The higher self would actually come in. And it was in a lot of those early shows, 400, 500, 600 episode with the Unity Graces, the Lisa Browns, and just different people. They would actually come in, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever, right before, and I would get all these signs. So yeah, it is a lot sometimes energetically to go through it. I enjoy it. I'm made for it. I realize that's my role in Sology. My role is not to do the other things that are involved. My role is just to show up and try to be as transparent as I can and try to relate with all our multidimensional aspects, including all the multi-human aspects. But it is by no means, and I'm not just saying this to blow smoke up her. I don't want to be crude. This isn't my show, but I don't want to be deemed as crude. But no, but the reality is there is we got the transmission in Georgia. We got the transmission when Sology came. It said this is a platform for the frequency of the Mother Goddess and her children. And what I started to understand was, even in myself and like even with Neil Devaney today, which I thought was a really powerful show, is that even in the men, even in the masculine incarnations, it's the suppressed voice of the divine feminine that's being heard on this network. And that's what I think I'm most proud of, because I really feel like that's what the world needs. And even in our own little end of the universe, that's what we're doing. So it's a 50-50 proposition,
That's
no matter what it looks like on the outside.
well, so Todd, I'm psychic and intuitive too. And the way I work with people is I hook up to my higher self and then talk to their higher self, and then their higher self comes through me. And I think you're doing that even though you don't know that you're
No,
doing
he knows. No,
And-
he knows. He actually sets that intention before every show to actually have a conversation with their higher aspect.
right. But
So he knows, and he has from the very beginning.
Aspect. That's what I want. I want to make sure you know that it's your higher aspect that is talking to their higher aspect, and that.
Look who I'm with. Well, meaning that she's told me that, and I would have experiences because, like, who was it? Neil was on today, and he said you get on the news feed and you're in a certain mode, and you go from here to there, and it's like you're reading a book, like you're turning a page. You go from this post to that post, and it's all perfectly sequential and synchronistic. But it used to happen to me, and I'm not being in defense or anything about it, but this is a lot of energy to sit down with people. And see, this is, I think, people might be a little bit or might not understand. It's not just me and the person I'm talking to. It's everybody that's watching,
Right.
at least in that present moment, and probably even the people that are watching that say after on a replay. All that energy is there. I can feel it. There's something, I can't explain it, but I can feel it. And sometimes it really impacts me. It makes me cry. It makes me see, multiple aspects of people. It makes me see messages. I get downloads. And so a lot of times I would be, well, in the early days, I'd be like, oh my God, I was on the show with so-and-so, and she like lit me up. And I just realized this. And Morgan's like, Morgan would be like, that wasn't them. That was you. You already did this. We did this. Remember a week ago, this happened. And I'm like, okay, yeah. So I get what you're saying. I'm not undervaluing my own presence. I mean, it's just again, just a human explanation. Well, with the human in consideration in the explanation, and I say that with humility.
Well, the reason because again, I interviewed you before when Morgan wasn't here, and it was real obvious that you were more comfortable being the interviewer than the interviewee. And it's a big difference in your energy since Morgan's been with you, and it's beautiful. Thank you so much, both of you. So I want to ask what your favorite shows, and maybe Morgan has a favorite show and Todd has a favorite show.
Absolutely. But can I say something before we answer that? We understand very, very clearly, like the network, I mean, a copy is a copy is a copy. Like the networking of telephone companies around the world, Sology is but one of the many, many, many hubs of this new grid network that all of us are trying to create.
Right.
If we look at Shanine Mouland, she's doing the same thing, but she's another hub. Sology is one of the many, 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 and I don't know the name of all your companies here, but we're AT&T, and there's a Verizon. We see ourselves like that. We're one of the many hubs that are actually being activated on this planet to connect all of us. I just feel like that's so important to say.
Perfect.
And what's your favorite episode?
My absolute favorite episode would have to be Grace Solaris' first interview.
Okay.
And I've never, ever forgotten it. And there are many, many favorites, but this one really blew our minds. In the last 10 minutes of that first episode, she wanted to do a prayer.
Yeah, I asked her if she wanted to do some type of channeling.
You always talk, I'm talking. So she wanted to do a prayer, like a prayer. And she wanted to do a meditation type prayer, and she connected with Mother Mary.
Yeah.
And I was sitting watching it, like right next door to him, and she literally, virtually disappeared. Like she became one with a wall behind her, with a painting behind her. It was such a powerful, powerful transmission. And I there are so many episodes that he's done that I just sit back and go, wow, he is phenomenal. That's my personal favourite. I want to talk about my second favourite as well. Is that all right?
Yeah. Go ahead.
We had, is it all right for me to say names? I'm not really a fan of it. I'm going to do it. Todd had a really, what would you call it? Explosive interview 2 or 3 months ago with Rick Dewars.
Oh, yeah. Well, talk about it.
And the shit hit the fan. And there was like, I don't know how many people there, but if it was 100, there was 50% like attacking. There was 50% really staying balanced. And he got off that live, and I just ran up and hugged him. And I said, I am so proud of you. You managed through all of that explosive energy where people were going nuts to really hold the space in neutrality. I was so proud of him. I don't know. They're my two favourites. I'm sorry, I know you asked for one, but they're my two.
We're allowed to have more if you'd like. I'm curious because I've watched a lot of them, but I haven't watched them all because I'm working a lot of the times, or I catch it on the replay when
I can't even watch them all, so I get that.
And you scheduled them, but so well, thank you so much, because I that just shows the frequency that's being transmitted from all of this. It's a non-judgment, inclusive, everything is included as part of the opportunity to choose, rather than making anything of polarity discussion. So, because this is about the choosing, isn't it? It's, yeah.
And non-resistance to everything, really.
Well,
resistance to everything.
Every resistance is a gift. Every trigger goes, oh, I didn't know I still had that.
And I mean, with that one with Rick, we really copped a lot of backlash on that. We lost a lot of numbers. Both of us got a lot of really nasty messages.
Wow.
Which both of us didn't respond to at all. We understood that, freedom of speech means that it's going to trigger some people. But Todd held the space to a degree that I just was like, I was mind blown over
right.
how well he did.
I did see part of that. I didn't get to see all of it, and I never went back and saw the rest of it. But I could see that the audience was full of polarity, and that's what we're rising out of. So it was.
And didn't he do a great job of just allowing all of it?
Right.
And not buying into any of it.
Yeah, but he held it where he held the conversation to a higher level, because the conversation could have deteriorated pretty easily, and Todd held it. So kudos, Todd. So Todd, what was your favorite one? And you're allowed to have two also.
Well, I'm not trying to be funny, but it's true. My favorite episodes are with Morgan. Mostly the ones when we weren't together. Well, and here's a funny thing too, which is also kind of an intuitive underlying component or aspect, really core aspect to Soul-G period. I remember when I started it, I was coming out of my own traumas, as we all did, and I was looking for, quote unquote, her. So everything I did, somewhere deep inside of me, was what I don't know what you would call it, but was an expression from my highest potential in that moment to illuminate my soul to reach her. Not even knowing, I'm not saying her was her or just, but it was just, that's what it was. So, but there was a lot of times we were apart, and we did. In fact, the first show we did together, she wouldn't be on camera, which is not a surprise because she wouldn't even do a video camera phone call with me for 1.5 years. But so I think those were because when I was with her, and even now, I wasn't even able, I didn't have a choice. I had to be totally vulnerable, like a little boy. And, you know, if you look at some of those early videos when I'm with her compared to talking to other people, it's like night and day. But there's a strength to that, which I think we're all coming to, which is to be childlike and to be innocent, be genuine. But I would say those are my favorite. I know that's kind of a, you know, kind of a what's that word? Schmaltzy, schmaltzy response. But you know, honestly, to me, it's not one episode. I mean, I love the show with Grace. I did some amazing. I was a part of some amazing things, like with Shakina Rose, some other people, Broder Bilal. There was an incredible thing happened to me there, and again, it wasn't just me. It was the whole vortex of everybody involved. But I think, you know, for me, what jumps out the most is even like the shows today. You know, the two shows today. It's just the naturalness, the conversation, and from that comes some type of, and this is a very multiplicity type of experience, which is the human with the different emotions, multidimensionality, and it's just this natural thing that all comes to one place where anything can happen. And it could be some guy, including me, transforming right before everyone's eyes and becoming softer. Or it could be somebody saying, hey, this is what happened to me. We had a lady come on that didn't show her face a year ago, a little over a year ago, that told an incredible story of being, it was during the Me Too time. And she just told an incredible story, one of many actually, where she was, you know, she was molested, raped for many, many years. And I mean, God, it was just like from a human standpoint, but her perspective, her higher perspective, her transformational voice told a story about how she became an attorney.
Yeah.
And she
that's
actually,
the reason she didn't come on, because she actually works in the industry.
Yeah. But the fact was, she became an attorney. Yeah, she had to protect, you know, but she became an attorney
perpetrators
and represented the worst of the worst, because she knew somewhere innately that she had to integrate that and pull together to the zero point the polarities that she experienced versus what she was, you know, what she was subjected to. So, and you know what, 1,400 shows, I'm going to say that probably a good 1,000 of them have caught that moment at some point or another where you can just get people just to let the guard down and be themselves. And to me, that sounds really cliche, but I think that's really what it's all about.
I do too. I think that's the gift of all of this, is number one, seeing other people being courageous enough, because I do think that is still trust and courage are the two parts of the recipe that are still evolving for humanity, for those that are willing to accept it. But that is something I'm seeing with the people I work with, a lot about trust and courage to be seen and to do their gift. And then the other part of it is that to know that as a soul, you planned all those things. You're not a victim of it. You actually chose that journey. And that's where I think the human is the hero, is if you go through that journey through to the other side, that's the hero part.
Yeah.
That's what the way I see what when you said the human is the hero, it's like, yes, because once you realize that the gift, everything is, the universe is for you. It may not look like it may be painful while it's happening because it's a unexpected change, but it's the other side of it's going to be better.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. So I want to know about Soulogy, about the project, and how all of the people that are on this call or that are going to see the replay can connect with you to help you with this dream, because I mean, as soon as I heard about it, it was like, how can I help? What can I do? I saw it just like I saw Humanities Team and some of these other groups, nonprofits that I've worked with, that the message of oneness and the message of expansiveness is what's being called for right now. So can you talk to what's happening with Sology and how anybody that's listening could help?
Do you mind me being really? No, of course you don't. I'm going to be really honest here. I feel like, there's been a lot of conversations about Sology for the last couple of years, and Todd's got some brilliant ideas. Everything's currently changing, and we understand that, like birth, like, you can't have a pregnancy outside the stomach. Sometimes we have to understand where we have to contain something. We've got some really big, exciting things happening at the moment,
Okay.
where, but we also understand that, containing that and allowing it to birth naturally is probably, are you all right with me saying this? We're currently in the middle of creating the perfect energy of creating a website. Todd's dream has been to have a channel where many of all of these hubs that are doing the same work can come and be part of that.
Wonderful.
We're having meetings with people at the moment that are doing big things. I don't know, it's different. I mean, he's been talking about this for a very, very long time. It's not that it's a secret, we're missing, you're how many, 40, 50 downloads behind?
No, on YouTube.
On YouTube, we want to upload all the YouTube things. I don't know. You would know when you're trying to create something, there's so much energy, and it's like, where do we put it? Where do we put it? Where do we put our personal energy?
That's why I want to help, because this is what I do. I mean, I started this Conscious Business Zone after a really bad breakup last December, where I lived with someone for 6 years and they left and sent me an email that I thought was my Todd. And I started Conscious Business Zone because I had to get out of bed Tuesdays and Thursdays to do this.
Yep.
And I started with almost all of the people who were my customers. That for 19 years I've been doing this behind the scenes, launching these incredible people that they're part of the change. They're the part of the lifeblood of us getting back to oneness and to source. Yeah. And so I mean, I know what that's like. It doesn't, I'm fueled by it. That's all I can say is, and I think you are, you know what it feels like. It's not just a birth, it's a expression, it's a creation that has to come through. And like someone will say, well, how can you work those hours? It's like, it's not work. It's not, it's co-creating with whatever that's coming through. So, but I've done less than 100, so I'm not doing.
It's encoding, and we had a meeting with a couple last night that want to collaborate as well, and their gifts are like incredible. And we were saying to them, if we watch TV every day, we can see pictures and symbols of where we've been. So what we need now is people who are actually going to take the leap and step up and show some pictures of the new grid of where we're going. And until some of us, and we're scared, well, he's not, I don't think, but like this is scary for us to do. We live on a wing and a prayer, but we're trying to show pictures of what we can all have. And until some of us people who have done enough of the work, and I don't like talking like this because it feels like separation, but there's so many of us on the planet. I don't know the numbers, 100,000, 1 million. It feels more like 1 million to us. There are all these people around the planet that are doing something very, very different. They've taken the leap of faith. They're moving through the most painful 3D, letting go experiences, and they're trying to create something new. And so by putting all this on screen or creating, some new pictures that looks absolutely insane to their families, 3D human consciousness, but we actually all need these new pictures. That's creating, that's manifesting a new reality. We can all sit back and dream about, I wish this was happening and I wish that was happening. But there
No.
are so many people around the planet at the moment that are actually taking these leaps of faith, letting go of everything that they've ever had. We eat sandwiches for dinner, you know, most nights of the week to keep doing this.
Right,
But
right.
we know that we're meant to do it
Well,
because, you know, this is one of the many, many, many hubs, and there's going to be, and I'm sure there's already hundreds of thousands or whatever out there, but we have to do this and create new fairy tales and the new pictures and something for everyone else to strive towards.
right. Well, the sense of community that you're creating is what's missing, because the people that have been awake, a lot of them are isolated. They might have a one or two friends that sort of get them, but even they go in and out of getting them. And also you're being pushed to keep every energy blast that comes through, to keep clearing and clearing and clearing, and every second there's something else that might need clearing. So I think what I wanted to though say is that the reason why I wanted you on here is I think the wing and a prayer isn't necessarily the only way to do this.
Mhm.
I think that there's a lot of the people that watch my show that are business people that want the new paradigm, and they need models of how to do it. They need tools, or they need a platform to do it. And it's almost like it's a matchmaking service where you have somebody who has conscious business skill or conscious community skills or group skills. I was just talking to one of my healers yesterday. He lives in Mexico, and there's a conscious small group that wants to hire him to come in and clear them all and up level their energy. And so why not? I'll match make that. Why not? I mean, that's where we are, where people can choose that, and then they find the resource. And a lot of what you're doing is accessing new resources for people that are doing big things in the world, and they need that extra lift. So I don't think you have to do it on a wing and a prayer. And that's why I wanted you on here. So, hey, you guys, see what they're doing, jump on it, experience it, and benefit and share.
Thank you.
What do you want me to look at?
I wanted to add this too, because I think it's important. It's not about me, and it's not about Soulgy. It's it's everything is a reflection of the whole thing that's happening. As an individual goes, so goes a collective. So yeah, Todd's been obsessed because he downloaded this stuff for 2, 3, 4 years about this multiple channel hub that was available on an app that had this all exclusive frequency, adding additional frequencies to never expanding vibration and 5D commerce and all this other stuff. And as I got into this, and we became more and more, had more and more solidarity, and with the influence of other people, many other people, and I'm thankful for all of that, all those experiences, and they continue to evolve. I started to realize that which means probably we, all of us, have looked for our proof and our gratification, our validation in the linear, in the 3D, in the human proof, see, touch, feel, taste, and all that. And I've realized now that, most likely all this stuff that I downloaded or we downloaded or whatever the case is, and all the vortex of the Soulgy energies has already been created in the energy, in the ethers.
Right.
And so and my proof has come to me where I see the Shanines, and I see the Shanine Mulan Banrions and your shows. I'm not saying that we were the impetus for your inspiration of doing the show, because you told us what that was, but I know many, many people that either, and it doesn't matter because I can see the energy, that have been inspired by what we've done. So in essence, what I'm saying is the network's already been created. It's already a multiple channel app based. It's not even, well, this is app based, easy based, easy accessible, user friendly, whatever you want to call it. People can find whatever they want to find. And I know we've had a part to do with that. We don't need the credit. We don't need anything. We're just trying to follow the yellow brick road and figure out what the hell we're supposed to do in this integration of the individual actually creating what's best for themselves that also serves the collective simultaneously, as well as, do our part to create a new template and a new blueprint. So it's my way of saying I'm okay now. I'm unattached from it. I'd love to see it happen, but I don't lose any sleep over it at night anymore. But I do feel like that there's a very strong possibility that it will materialize.
Can I add to that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we've had anything to do with that at all. I think it's within our own DNA. Like, we all knew at some point that we need to connect to create this new network between ourselves. Todd and Morgan are one little hub that are doing this. But when all of us have known this is within our DNA.
Yeah.
We were going to be quiet. We were going to do all of our own work. And at some point, we actually had to create a network. And there are people all over this world that haven't even heard of Sology or any of the other shows that actually have this burning desire to create a network. And what better way to do it than through the internet that is currently available?
Right. I think that's the internet is training wheels for telepathy, I think. And so what you're doing is you're doing the first step of us all finding each other.
Yeah.
And then resonating at that level. And there's no judgment about that, because I think as humans, we resonate high and then we go low and then we high and then
that's the anchoring. That's the anchoring. We go up here to gather the information, and that's how our relationship works. For the first 15, 16 months, we did everything dimensionally. We merged our chakras one by one. And so when we met, it was very, very comfortable and very easy overall. I mean, the humans still had a few problems here and there, but even then, when we had problems, we simply joined hands and allowed the energy to take over. So there were no words that need to happen. We merge with other people all day, every day, in every single connection. But when we start doing that consciously, then everything expands again.
Right.
I could contact somebody over on the other side of the world who's doing something like this. We can connect energetically and expand our skills and coding and everything, to make sure that everyone does what they're doing even better again.
Yes, of course.
I don't see what Todd's doing, what we're doing as something that is inspiring other people. I know that hubs all over the planet, the people all over the planet, we all knew that we needed to connect to create a network. And the most powerful way to do that was by sharing our stories and interacting and, connecting with each other. That is the grid. We are the new grid.
Yes, it's wonderful. So the only other thing that you haven't talked about that Olivia said, start a dating site. The only thing that you haven't talked about that I think is another gift that you share is the way that the divine masculine, divine feminine connect between the two of you, and how you both embody both sides, and watching that development. And Morgan, of course, since you're behind the scenes, I haven't seen your changes as you may have embodied more of the divine masculine as you've been growing. But I've been watching Todd, and it's wonderful to watch that, because as a businesswoman, I've had to be the divine masculine as much as the divine feminine. And so the balance is the other part of this huge gift. It's like a flower blossoming, where you see this whole integration of both sides rather than favoring one or the other, because that's just still polarity. It's just still another label.
Go ahead.
I think the focus on the divine feminine, the divine masculine is a distraction.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Because I never focused on how do I get my masculine right? How do I get my feminine right? What I focused on was polarity. So I did years and years and years of transforming the polarity. And in that, naturally, my divine masculine and divine feminine came into balance. And then I put him to work. I didn't. He wanted to. But I shared the tools and the skills of how he could do that. And it's been a natural progress. You know, by focusing on labels and words or whatever, we actually miss it.
Right.
By
And
focusing on understanding that every single thing that we see outside of ourselves is nothing but a symbol. Owning that symbol and its polarity is where we actually come into a natural state of balance. And the divine masculine, divine feminine just sorts itself out.
right, right, right.
So,
But I do think this is part of the change that we're seeing right now, though, in politics and in the world, is these new balances and people waking up that they don't want war, they don't want the corporate environment, they want eye to eye true relationships with themselves and others. It's a different world we're birthing right now.
yeah.
Yeah, it is. And we really need new pictures of that. If you think about
Right.
what's on TV or what's in the movies or what's in our stories or our fairy tales, if we shut all that down and actually start looking at each other, we're the new pictures that we're striving to be.
Right, right, right. And I think that's what Soulology has done, is it's given all this huge audience a chance to see and see these new pictures that they didn't even know existed. And also to resonate with pieces of it or up level with piece of it.
Yeah.
So
Importantly, the pieces through their own discernment that they resonate with.
right, of course.
You know, we don't have to strive to be like anyone else, but we can hear some real people sharing their stories and we go, oh my God, that makes sense to me. I resonate with that. This is how I'm going to clear that.
Well, I don't think it's done like that anyway. I mean, you can either be a seeker or you're working on being, not working, but you hook up every day and ask how you best serve, and you be that, you be the love, you be the harmony. It's a whole different resonance than I knew before.
Yeah.
So that question, how do I best serve?
Mm-hmm.
I think the mistake that we've making is that we've spent our whole lives serving everybody outside of ourselves.
Yeah.
So if we shift that question into how do I best serve myself and do what's right for me in every moment, I don't think about what he needs tomorrow. I
Right.
never, ever do. I only think about what I need for myself.
Mhm.
I serve myself. And in that, everything outside of that then becomes a reflection of that. This old paradigm of, how do I serve humanity? How do I keep serving, to reach spirituality? Hello, that's exactly what we've been doing our whole lives, and
Yeah.
it didn't work. So what does Morgan want? What can I do for myself? How am I going to make myself happy?
But
That's why I've got such a...
Morgan's everything.
Mm.
Morgan is the.
I am all of that. So if I'm serving myself, then it naturally
That's
starts...
right.
I
That's
naturally start creating reflections of that.
And she's freaking hot, man. So I wanted to touch base on just a couple of things. I know because you had asked them, and that's great the way the conversation went. One was when I said the thing about the inspiration and just having a little bit of pride, and I'm not going to run from that. And Soulology providing inspiration, and Morgan, as she often does, disagrees with me, but really it's the same thing. And I saw this comment from Michelle Good, who's been, she said, watching since November.
right.
And this is really what I was talking about. So, again, I know we get caught up in semantics a lot. We get lost in that. But she was just basically what she's saying is, she said, until I found Soulology in November, I had no idea how many were out there doing this. I found so many people whose messages resonate. And I love this part where she says, it's so wonderful to be able to see so many people going through the same thing. And then the other part was through the same thing, and no, you're not a nutcase and you're not alone. And so I've often, and I learned this through my relationship with Morgan, which was, yeah, I am soul. I'm not only human. Don't throw me in that box. But she taught me the whole thing about embodying everything. And to me, that's what I see. I always thought, okay, there's a common denominator. We're all soul and we're one. But this trip is a little bit different because this trip is taking in this really thick density, and to be able to embody all that knowledge and wisdom and Akashic and lives and all that into the divine human experience is creating some kind of some level up that the universe, I believe, has never seen before. And and I think that's what I was getting at. That it's not really an inspiration; it's more of just you're opening the code in them, as she opened it in me, and I opened it in her, and vice versa, and all that for all of us. We're really just, and I know it sounds cliche, but we're helping each other remember, right? And
Exactly.
and that's really what I was saying about the whole thing's already been done, without sounding like, oh my God, we don't need to do anything and we can just put our feet up on the table. No. Yeah, I'm excited to see how it unfolds in the physicality, but I realize too, I don't need that proof. I don't need it.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So people are texting in. There's Cricket Holden says there are many walking the walk. They are our living examples. And Debbie Mahoney says, how long can you sustain the existence the way you're living day to day? That's why I wanted to help and see if there's a way to help get people to get on the bandwagon to help you.
Well, do you want to talk about that?
I think we're meant to be doing this. Like if you talk to Ingrid today and John McIntosh or whatever, they're saying we have to actually get to a point where we love living like this, where there's no resistance at all. Like, 4 years ago, I was living in a huge, big 5-bedroom home with a beautiful car and lots of money in the bank. And then I fell for this homeless hobo and everything changed. But I mean, there's so many people on the planet that are understanding that everything that they've created so far has basically been through a 3D creation.
Yep.
And when you strip back to nothing, then maybe everything shifts in. Do we know what that looks like yet? No, we don't. But there's also a feeling of like, we're doing exactly what we're meant to do.
Right.
If we could have any help, what would it be, Todd? You need somebody to help upload.
No, that's a lot. So, I think that's a great question, and everything changes in this quantum reality now. So, like, what would apply before doesn't apply now. I just got to say this about particularly Debbie's question, okay? And to what Morgan was saying about Ingrid, John McIntosh, we're all being asked to leave behind anything that we've known, basically, because 99.99%, if not 100% of what we've known and based our existence, belief system, and therefore our life on has been, for lack of a better word, an illusion. It's not us. It's not natural. So I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. I can't explain it, and I'm a talker. I don't know, but I do know that since October 2016, and I really set out on my own, and then she came for the first time in the summer of 2017. I have been able to capture this energy at times, and I used to talk to her about it. I'm like, she's like, you need to do something, and I'd say, well, I'm doing it, but I can't explain it, but I can kind of feel it. It's got something to do with intention, where you put your attention, what your passion is, what you align with in your heart. I can't really explain it. The universe it seems to me that we're at this point where it's saying, well, let go or be dragged. Either jump in with us full force and we'll reciprocate. And we've actually experienced that, but it comes and it goes, and it comes and it goes. So, I would just say this in regard to this question, and really anything, to myself. And that is, don't talk about it, do it.
Right.
Don't say, hey, can I do this? And hey, did you see this? I did this for you. And I'm speaking to myself, not to everybody else. But again, as the individual goes, so does the collective. And I just say, if you feel like doing something, do it. If you feel like you want to reach out and say, hey, let me download these videos from YouTube or from Facebook and upload them to YouTube.
Or I can spend an hour a day being an admin.
Or even if it's not about Soulgy, but the whole point is we're moving into a telepathic, transparent reality which is our natural nature. So all the BS is going to go away anyway. If you feel like doing something, and especially if it doesn't make any sense, do it. And the whole point is, if you have any second, the second guessing, the reservations, you got other work to do. It has nothing to do with what you want to do. It probably has something to do with why you wanted to do it. But my point is, just do it. If it comes in, that's intuition. You guys, the feminine, have led the way with that. You've opened the door. If it comes in, do it. Just be spontaneous and do it. And don't look back, because, you won't second guess yourself. Look, we've done some crazy stuff. I know I have. She's even been crazier, because she came from what she described to come to, can you imagine coming to another country and actually, living wherever this guy's living, who has got no money
Hoping
whatsoever.
he's got a bed for the night.
Yeah, right. So, but the whole point is, we don't have any regrets. And this isn't about romantic pure love. This is about the pure love that we all are, the pure consciousness that love is, which is actually not a stagnant, flatlining type of energy. It's one that actually says, when you come to the party and you get what I am, pure love consciousness, you can actually be me and we'll expand together. So it's like an ecstatic kind of vibration, but we don't have any regrets. We don't have a perfect day every day. Every day gets better and better. But
we have a lot of perfect days, though.
We do, but I mean, but it's still a mystery every day.
Right.
Like we don't have a lot planned out. We don't have a lot of resources to do anything and make decisions. But something that brought us together, that guided us on a personal level, and so many people around the country, around the world, we're listening to that. And I think that's really what this is all about. And so that's why I say, if it makes sense, don't do it. And if it doesn't make sense, you probably might want to consider doing it. And when I think the more you think about it, the less likely you are to do it. So when it comes in, do it. And that's something I can say about helping us, or helping yourself, or helping anybody else.
Which actually isn't helping us, because Sology is actually a spiritual community resource.
Mm-hmm.
It's a service that belongs to all of us. It's not about Todd Medina. It's about what we're all giving each other. So it's actually a community. It's a spiritual community-based service.
Yeah.
Right.
Really, Sology does not make a lot of money. Tom has fed us.
Tom White Bear.
Every now and again sends $50 or whatever, and that feeds us like for 4 or 5 days, and we go, oh my God, but it's not serving Todd and Morgan. It's actually serving a community service that belongs to all of us.
Right. Well, I think there's a bunch of people that would like to support you in that way. So I hope Tom will put the link after we're done in the message, and then when I upload this to YouTube, we'll also put that. But do you have any other ways that, or wisdom? You've said so much that's just wonderful that I'll want to go back and listen to this again. About what you see. I mean, we're coming into 2020. My higher self's pushing me crazy hard. Just get it done. Get as many healers out as you can to help, because there's going to be such a need for change agents as disclosure happens, and people need to have other guides and leaders and teachers. So I know I'm being pushed a lot. So do you have any words of wisdom for us on this new era that because it really feels like it's we're birthing something new as a humanity.
Yes. Are you all right if I've got two really big things I want to talk about.
You always ask me that.
Oh, good.
It's just checking in. A few years back, I went and did a course, and I didn't do it for me. I did it for my daughter. But I knew it was going to benefit me in meeting people, and it was transpersonal counselling. When it came to the assignments, I hadn't been in school for like 30 years, and I really, really struggled with it. So I said to my higher self, how am I going to do this? And my higher self said, bring up the golden particles, create in dimension your assignments. So I listened and I tried it, and I created all these golden particles, created an assignment, and I went to sleep. And the next day I woke up, and in 5 hours I typed up a 3,000 word assignment,
Perfect.
and I got a distinction, which is higher than a credit for it. And
Wow.
so every assignment after that, I utilized the golden particles to create what I wanted. So we all have access to that, and that the golden particles are created from us
Right.
through a state of joy or love or connection. So that's my first thing. I can't remember a question.
Do you have any advice for the new paradigm that we're moving into? You know, like, I mean, yeah. So one is you're saying work energetically.
Yeah, work in whatever you do in dimension, you can actually create, as long as it comes from a place of love or joy,
Right.
we can create into our new realities. I can't remember the second thing I wanted to talk about, but it would have been something like, you know, collaborate with each other, be open, be honest, be direct, catch yourself in going into fear, you know, am I making a choice out of fear, or am I making a choice out of something else? Oh God, I did have something. It doesn't matter. No,
Well,
It'll come as soon as he answers, then you'll remember.
Yeah. No, what I was going to say, which really I apply to myself, is I always look for like the simplest way to do anything, right? And so all this stuff's come in. I have my job. I think it's the greatest job in the universe. I'm in the greatest relationship in the universe. I mean, I got no complaints. But I still look at, okay, how do I guess we would say, how do you manifest this, or how do you even know what to, manifest? And you know, to me, I don't really like the term shadow work. I've obviously am married to a shadow eater, and has taught me very well the value of it. But I guess what I'm saying is, for me, and whether that's encompassed in it or not, it's for me, if somebody were to ask me that, if one of my 6 kids were to say, Dad, what would you recommend? I would tell them, focus on yourself, right? Focus on yourself. Don't worry about what you're going to be and what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. I would say focus on yourself. Everything that comes up, which I've learned, a lot of this with the instruction, and the conversations with Morgan, everything's speaking to me at all times, right? Everything's speaking to me, whether it's an image in my head, or someone knocks on the door and the message they have, or whatever it is. Dream state, yeah. And so, because I see this as we go down through these cycles of the shadow, and then the elevation, the shadow, then the processing, then the elevation. And I watch it in the job I do. I see different levels of projection, which to me just means what? It means that if I'm projecting or someone's projecting, they're not projected on themselves. And as long as we're not doing that, we're feeding separation. We can make this real complicated, but if I have found that in my own right, if I focus just on me, whether it's my relationship and something happens and I go for a walk, and if I'm thinking about what Morgan's thinking, I'm not serving this. I'm not serving the relationship. I'm not serving the collective. I'm not serving myself. So my thing would be just focus on yourself, because if you do that, everything comes to you. Everything matches you, and you don't even have to tell the universe. We were just talking about this. You don't have to tell the universe what you want. You are the universe. Yeah, it just comes to you,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And because once you say what you wanted, you're separate from it. Right?
Yeah.
So you just be it, be one with it, and then it shows up. That's so cool. Well, thank you all so much. And I wish I had a way to say, go to their website and all that, but that'll come.
It's getting close. It's getting
close.
close.
Yeah. And if I can help in any way, please let me know. I have lots of resources. I'd be happy to see what I can do to help. But keep up the good work. Thank you so much. You're doing an amazing service for humanity. And I just want to be one of the people that thanks you. I'm sure there's millions of us, but I want to say that here, that just there to be in community and to see all the different variations of this, and to have more words to explain things, because I haven't had words. I've been wordless, just knowing. So when Amanda Lawrence says something, go, that's it. I didn't know what to call it. But anyway, so that it's just been such a gift, huge gift. And I hope you'll get a chance to look at all these comments and talk to these people because they're saying wonderful things. I hope you know how much you're loved and appreciated. And I want to share my heart with you too. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you, Kathy.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah. We hope to see you when we head up that way. And I would just say this on not knowing anything. We're going to Washington State. We're going to Shasta. We're going to Sedona. We're going to Sarasota, Florida in January. We're probably going to pass through Salt Lake City, Denver, maybe other places. Anyone that wants to collaborate, just keep an eye on where we're at. And
we're always, there's always something. I bring people here all the time from all over. So yeah, be happy to play.
Yeah,
we love playing. We've caught up with the most magical people since we've been here. We really have. It's just been phenomenal.
Yeah,
that's right. And that's why I think you don't realize what you're doing. You're not seeing it as being courageous, but it is courageous to be seen totally, to be totally authentic and be totally in your heart. It's really, and it's a beautiful example of how. Olivia's asking, where are you based? They were in Hawaii. I think they're based on planet Earth.
Most of the time, but not all of the time.
Right now, Olivia, they're in California.
Yeah, we're in Ventura. I think we're going to go in a couple of days to Junction City at the base of Shasta.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we're going to move up to Washington State.
Cool. Yep. Well, some of these people that are my friends live near Shasta.
Yeah.
So hopefully
we're gonna be in Junction City for a week, and then we're gonna be in Washington State for 2 weeks, and then we're gonna be in Sedona for a week, then we're gonna be in Junction City probably for 2 or 3 months. And I think it kind of looks like it's aligning that we're gonna put some written material together, some video, audio production stuff together, and I think it looks like that things are aligning, and we'll just keep going with it. So.
Yeah, and see, I work with people that do a lot of video, do the Shift Network and some of these other. That's why once you get an idea of what the platform looks like and what you want to fund, then we definitely should talk. But what is the best way if people want to connect with you? Do you want more friends to message you? I mean, oh my God, there's 99 comments here.
Don't message Todd because Todd gets like 100+ messages a day and he just doesn't even look. So maybe email Sology.
Sology1studios@gmail.com.
Oh, okay.
And you can always reach out to Morgan. You can reach out to me.
You can message me. I mean, I'm not. I will get back to you. I can't do it necessarily within the day, but I will always get back to everybody. But Todd just gets too much, and he's just given up.
She's light and I'm dark.
Well, no, it makes total sense that if you're doing that many interviews and you're present while you're doing it, that it's going to be really hard to go to that left brain stuff while you're trying to be.
I don't have a left brain anymore. I think it's time. Yeah.
You probably do, but you just don't call it that. But anyway, I'll let you sign off because I've kept you so long. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I hope you get a chance to see all the comments. You've so much love for you guys. So grateful.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you.
Yeah, and we'll play. I'm sure.
You take care. We'll talk to you. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.